Hey guys, David-InvestQ here. Have you ever watched a stock crush your portfolio or seen your account bleed or been curious as to why it is you invested in stock in the first place when things start to look bearish? And then all of a sudden the stock itself that you're questioning starts to shoot up and it looks like there's life all of a sudden? Well, that's exactly what happened with Castellum CTM. As you can see here, we had a 10% increase with the highs of 96 cents after we experienced a very big sell off all the way to as low as 79 cents. And to be honest, when you felt it dip as low as 79 cents, you did get that churning reaction in the stomach. You did panic a little bit. You were probably thinking about selling. Maybe you sold everything out and you did have a realized loss. Maybe you sold out part of your position and maybe you're feeling a little bit of regret as you see it swing all the way up to almost $1 a share again. So all of a sudden it flips where 10% goes all the way up to 96 cents as the high of the day. And now you're sitting there thinking, is this really going to be the move that brings it up past the dollar and as we start to get momentum, or is this just another fake out? And that's exactly what we're going to be breaking down today with Castellum CTM. So in regards to the actual charts, guys, Castellum CTM, as we've talked about many times, is a small cap government contractor. They're a small cap stock, uh, and they are in the defense market. They focus on cybersecurity, engineering, and defense services. Historically higher risk with balance sheet concerns. And again, this is a thinly traded micro cap, which means that now news can move it fast in any direction. Bearish news can really drop the stock down. Bullish news can really make it skyrocket to the top, or not to the top, but it can give a decent bullish move with some momentum to the upside, depending on the sentiment of the stock itself. Now, as we know, yesterday, the reason why we had the past 2 days of bullish green flags is due to the news article that came out yesterday from Castellum CTM. They said how they retired all their debt, they paid off all their debt, and they are completely debt free. And why this matters for a small microcap stock like CTM? First off, it removes bankruptcy concerns and dilution overhang, and they dilute and issue new shares. In the sense that they would dilute and issue new shares as a way to raise more money for operating losses, cash burn, things of that nature. That's not the case for a financially disciplined company like Castellum CTM. And also, just being debt free, it does improve a little bit of flexibility, financial flexibility, because when you are disciplined the way that they are and they're not burning through a whole lot of cash, and they do have a good amount of cash on hand for a micro cap stock like Castellum CTM, which the actual number at the moment is 14 million, you're not just thinking about survival. You're not thinking about paying your monthly expenses, your monthly bills. That's not your main concern. Obviously, you still have to take care of the survival things and the necessities, but when you put yourself in a position where you can grow and you have no financial debt and you have that financial flexibility, you can actually think about growing the company rather than just surviving and moving to that next level. And first off, they do have a big stream of revenue from their contracts. That's where most of their revenue is generated. And being in this position with being financially free, financially disciplined, and in a stage where they're going to be able to grow, it does position them in a way where it makes them more attractive for future contract bidding. And it changes the investor's risk perception. Being debt free for Castellum CTM changes the investor's risk perspective on the perception on what people feel is safe to buy or not to buy. It gives them more, not hope, but it gives them more of a positive outlook and a positive sentiment overall onto why they should put their hard earned money into investing in Castellum CTM. Now, the second catalyst that I just mentioned earlier, but I didn't go into a deep dive analysis about, is the fact that, like I said, they have a good stream of contracts, and that's where most of their revenue comes from. They have $219 million backlog in recent prime contract awards that spans out to the next 5 years. It includes U.S. Navy and federal work, multi-year revenue visibility, and the reason that investors care is because government contracts equals recurring revenue, and it signals operating stability and it shows execution capability. So basically, what all it's saying is that with the operate within their day-to-day operations, they're going to be stable because they have revenue coming in to where they're not just focused on survival, and they have ways to expand and grow. And again, it shows that they can garner more contracts and have that revenue, so that when they plan, like as right now they're in phase 3, they're planning on completing an accretive acquisition. They have more capability to be able to do that, since they're not just focused on paying the necessity in their bills month after month, week after week, day after day, and they're not going through a whole lot of cash burn. So all of these variables does help them have a more bullish, optimistic look for the future. Now, backlog matters more than hype in defense contracts. So that is one of the reasons why I like Castellum CTM, because they're not overhyped in the media, but what they do have is strong financials, and as I mentioned, a good backlog. So in regards to the actual mechanics of the company, they do have thin liquidity. So basically, what I'm trying to get at when I say they have thin liquidity is that, sorry guys, since they have thin liquidity, reports say that as little as 14.3% of all the shares that are held by institutions. So the rest of it is a majority of retail investors, and it's mostly retail interests. So since most of the shares that are held are from retail investors, that means that there's going to be a lot of volatility. So any little bit of news, anything in general, can swing the market, the stock in any direction, since there's not strong institutions, or a majority of the shares are held by institutions. That's what I'm trying to get at when I say thin liquidity. Now, another reason for why this bullish move might have happened is short covering. Again, since there's lots of retail interest and it's a penny stock, people view it as risky, and there's been a bearish move the past few weeks. People are thinking, oh, I knew this thing is crap, let me short it. And now that we had some bullish news, a little bit more of a bullish sentiment on this company specifically, it's viewed more positively. And we had this price action on the upswing. Shorts have to cover their positions, and they have to cover their losses, and they have to exit other positions and enter long, so they can make back what they lost. And the higher it goes, the more volatility accumulates, and the more gasoline that's added to the fire, so the more people are going to add on to the long side. Now, also, as I did mention, for small micro cap stocks, small caps move fast on sentiment shifts. So basically, all I'm saying is that when it's a small micro cap stock, anything bullet, it can be a little more sensitive to the news compared to something like Nvidia, for example. Or another example might be something like Microsoft, Google, Amazon, things of that nature. Something that might be considered small news for a big cap stock, a large company such as that. Smaller news that could be like, 5% of the value for a big company like that, which is a lot much of a bigger deal for a small cap company like Castellum. Any positive news can really change the sentiment and really add some momentum to the upside, and the same vice versa when it comes to volatile stocks like this. Now, what you do need to ask yourself, guys, is, again, think about the bigger question: is this actually sustainable? And to go over a few bull cases and bear cases, when you look at the bull case, they have a clean balance sheet. It's cleaner. It could be better. Obviously, they could keep improving. Everyone can keep improving. But again, their balance sheet is cleaner. They do have a good, strong government backlog, and they do have improved fundamentals. And when you look at the bear case on why people are still more risk on, or more view it more as still too risky to invest or to be cautious with, there's still a micro cap stock. There's execution risk remains, especially what they talked about, to see how well they're able to perform phase 3 within the next 12 months, as the newsletter did say about they're trying to scale at a faster pace and complete that accretive acquisition. And it needs consistent earnings growth, not just in revenue from organic growth and from operations, but what they emphasize over the next 12 months, and I've said a few times already, completing an accretive acquisition. Now, what I also do want to ask you is, one thing to take into perspective, especially with the sentiment now and the progress they're actually making, could this actually be the start of re-rating the company and the whole sentiment of the stock actually changing, or is this just a short-term pop? In my opinion, I would say I'm leaning more towards the bullish side, even if it's not in the short term, maybe over the course of the next 12 to 24 months. But I do think they're making their progress and they continue to grow and continue to improve as a company. Now, if you want more breakdowns on a small cap stock such as Castellum CTM or all the other stocks that I'm going to be covering, I do want to talk to you guys about my free community that I have out now in Prophecy AI. So let me just show you guys real quick. In my community right here, we just started. I'm happy to say that we do have 10 members as of right now and a little bit of engagement. You got some engagement with me and another David as well. Feel free to come on in. I got a little introduction video just to start off with. I'm just starting off with the bare bones, guys, at the moment. We're going to continue to grow. And the most important thing is I do want to see my community be more active and people share their insights, because I do view anybody commenting and all my members as something that is very valuable to cherish. And I'm grateful for all the members that I do have. So with that being said, guys, David with InvestQ. Hope to see you on the next video. Take care.